sound off the nuclear alarm at 11:30 every Monday morning, and that's to reassure the public that all the safety features are working inside the dockyard.
Refuel the submarines, which is probably the most dangerous thing you can do with a nuclear submarine, but to turn the place into a nuclear scrapyard has to be the final straw. When do you say that Plymouth's had enough?
The nuclear dockyard has always been and is now privately owned. For a long period, the nuclear dockyard was owned by Halliburton at a time when Dick Cheney, the CEO of Halliburton, was becoming the Vice President of the United States and about to bomb the shit out of Afghanistan and Iraq. International campaigns, which we fed and which fed us, actually led to Halliburton's selling. So Halliburton was sold to Babcock Marine, a British-based transnational company, which also owns Faslane and the other sites, and so has a monopoly over nuclear armaments and nuclear weaponry in the country. The government ploughs in billions of pounds to a point where Halliburton and now Babcock Marine had assured profits per year of £100 million, and that is still the case with their servicing of nuclear submarines. To service a nuclear reactor, you take out the old core, which is about the size of 4 double-decker London buses. I had a neighbour who, once they'd pulled the nuclear core out, he'd go in and scrub the size of the lining, and in one weekend he'd get 3 years maximum radiation going through him. So you haven't only got the hard material of the core and the surrounding area, but you've got the wet waste, the nuclear rods that are high-level nuclear waste, go by train up to Sellafield to be reprocessed, either as fuel or towards weapons grade. Some of the medium level gets shipped abroad, but a lot of it is stored here. So we have green oil drums close to the dockyard wall, which are full of radioactive nuclear waste. About 400 feet from the nearest infants and primary school. We're one of the few cities in the world where our local schools and the local College of Further Education nearby have got 2 sets of alarm systems. One is the red fire alarm system that we all know and love. The other is the blue fire alarm system, which isn't a fire alarm system at all, it's a radiation alert, where the children have to be locked in the classroom with doors and windows closed for an unstated amount of time, and the parents are told to stay away. Not only are you locked in the classroom, and of course there's issues of water and food, because that could all be contaminated too. But the children are also given iodine tablets to protect the thyroid. The thyroid doesn't develop until puberty and after. So the use of iodine tablets for children of 5, 6, 7 years of age is absolutely zero, if not poisonous. Until recently, all the households in the neighbourhoods surrounding the dockyard, and the dockyard is 3 miles long, get iodine tablets delivered to the door, so that in the event of the siren going off inside the dockyard wall, everybody at home is supposed to shut their windows and take their iodine tablets. They've stopped doing that lately because we've thoroughly exposed the fact that it's superfluous.
In the 1960s, when they were looking for a facility of this sort around the country, no way was a nuclear facility going to be brought to Devonport because of the close proximity of 250,000 people. Then the MOD decided that they had to make the decision based on the fact that there would never be a nuclear accident, and therefore it didn't become a safety issue, it became a political decision, and therefore the facility ended up coming to Devonport.
They say that there's never going to be an accident, and yet everybody knows about HMS Tireless being holed up at Gibraltar, leaking radiation from the core reactor, and demonstrations of thousands of Gibraltarians throwing things at HMS Tireless until tugs have to come over from Britain to take it and tow it back to Plymouth, leaking like a sieve, because people in Plymouth won't protest in the way that people in Gibraltar will. That's just one example of what is an endless historical string of nuclear accidents at the dockyard.
The nuclear train that takes the fuel rods to Sellafield derailed in the dockyard. Luckily, it didn't have fuel on it at the time. We've had nuclear flasks sent to Sellafield with the safety covers fitted upside down. Luckily, the water didn't leak out and cause a major incident. We've had nuclear flasks sent to Sellafield with the wrong paperwork with the wrong flask. Luckily, they found out in time. What Kansar is saying is we can't keep relying on luck as a management tool.
They have reenacted a nuclear accident at the dockyard.
I was involved in Operation Short Sermon. It's a simulated exercise, obviously, but all the agencies are involved. To me, at the time, it was an absolute shambles.
The maps of the dockyard included a red line around the dockyard wall. And somebody asked the question, well, wait a minute, what's this red line? They said, well, that's the limit to our operations in the event of a nuclear emergency. And they said, well, wait a minute, what do you mean? What about the people the other side? They said, oh no, the people the other side aren't at any risk because the nuclear radiation will stop at the dockyard wall. Honestly, that's actually been said.
The nuclear dockyard has been the centre of a really big residential population now for many years. Thousands of people living in that area in council houses. You don't have a choice that they're living in that area. They have no choice about that. But, they're living right next to this nuclear dockyard. The weird thing is that a lot of people don't know about the dockyard. It's kept very quiet. Particularly students who are sometimes quite separate from the rest of the community, who might not read the local paper. They don't really know it's there. Linda Gilroy, local Labour MP, she'll give people an impression that the dockyard's completely safe. It's all being tested, everything's fine, that it's really good for the local community. And that's the only side people often hear.